You know those Instagram posts that are like statistics say that you have to have a girls' night with your girls every 22 days or you're going to be like chronically depressed or something. And we don't know if they're actually true or who actually wrote that or even if it is statistically correct. Well, I love those posts because it makes me have to put it in my group chat with my girls and be like, y'all, we need to link up now. And when our schedules line up and we are finally able to get together, it's just like, chef's kiss. Whether it's just being in the house with a bottle of wine, talking about the political state of the world right now, or getting dressed up, looking super hot, taking digi pictures, and drinking overpriced drinks, excusing our bad behavior by saying exactly, or I'm just a girl. I love being a girl. And I would choose to do it in every single lifetime, regardless on society's views on us as women. But when I dig deeper into the phrase, I'm just a girl, I find it to be a little bit more than some silly banter or just a cute phrase that are trending on TikTok. For me, I think that it goes a little bit deeper than that. For me, it determines how I am allowed to show up in the world. Hey girl, welcome back to the Let Me Yap podcast, my podcast where I talk about whatever I want, wherever I want, whenever I want. How are you? I hope you're doing good today. And today I want to talk about the phrase, I'm just a girl. And for me, I think that phrase is more than just some cute banter that we saw on TikTok. And I know I'm about to sit here and reheat the nachos because we talked about it a lot in like 2023, 2024, even 2025 when it comes to like the Barbie movie coming out or like the song by No Doubt, like blowing back up. I think that it was a cute trend and we talked about like, just like, oh, I'm a girl. I don't want to change a tire. Or I don't know how to change a tire. Or I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Let the man do it. You know what I mean? We came a very long way in feminism and in the feminist movement, us as women to do so many different things, to even for me to be able to sit here and record this video and have a platform for me to speak about my opinions. This is because of feminism. You know what I mean? And I think that in the beginning, the trend was just to kind of be like, well, I am such just a girl. I want to be able to just be feminine and just do my thing and not think about things too hard heavily, kind of like lean into the incompetency of daily mundane tasks that women did not want to do. But then I feel like the conversation kind of moved into like this alt-right ideology of how women are supposed to be laid up, bare feet, belly full with babies, and that they're not supposed to be able to do certain things, and they're not supposed to be working or have a job, or that women are so incompetent that they don't have the ability to go out and do things. And then a lot of women started to fall into this. And then we kind of went to the conversation about trad wife culture and things like that. But I want to pull the conversation back to something a little bit more specific that I've never heard other women talk about. And I want to talk about it in my perspective as a Black woman. Now, I had this original thought back in 2023 when the Barbie movie came out, and how people, specifically women, white women specifically, were talking about their experience of seeing the movie with their mothers and how it really made them feel like more connected to their moms and like the hard work that their mom had to put in when it comes to raising them, or even the nostalgia of being a little girl and being able to just live without the societal pressures on them. But I think for me, I love the movie. I actually really did like Barbie, but I think that I I didn't have that opinion. I think that for me, it was a little bit more, it was a little deeper than that because growing up as a Black woman, as a little Black girl, I think that society's views for Black girls are very different. We, as little Black girls, don't have the opportunity to just be pure and innocent. No, I think that our existence is to be taken control of, to be tamed. And this goes all the way back to like slavery, the adultification and this over sexualization of the Black body and itself, men or women. I'm talking about specifically young women, specifically little Black girls. Since slavery, the Black woman's body has been used as property, as a tool for reproduction to further the agenda of slavery. Our personhood were taken from us and we were not viewed as people. You know what I mean? When back during slavery, men and women alike. But I think because of our reproductive natures, women, us as women, we were not afforded the ability to just be, girls, to be women. We weren't seen as such. And after the abolishment of slavery, we moved into like the Jim Crow era, where we have these different stereotypes of Black women coming up, such as like the Jezebel or the Sapphire stereotype, where Black women were seen to be hypersexual, to be seductive, to be very sexual beings. Again, our bodies being seen as an a thing outside of being a woman, outside of being a human. It's just a thing, just a slab of meat, if you will. So when we bring it back to modern times, when we bring it back into today, we see Black women's bodies being used over and over and over again. We see it in music videos. We see it in like campaigns. We see different women of different cultures striving to be like to have Black women's bodies. And because some Black girls' bodies develop earlier, like some Black girls develop like boobs or butts like earlier on, they are over sexualized and they are treated differently, and they're preyed upon by men and by society, and we go back to this idea of them just being a thing, being a tool, not feeling pain. Our personhood is taken away from us at such a young age. I think about myself, I am a dark skinned plus size Black woman. I've always been big ever since I was a kid. So because I was always been big, I developed like I got boobs pretty early on, and that was like one of the first things that adults in your family, they're always talking about your body, like, oh, where you get all those boobs from, or like talking about your hips, talking about your butt or whatever, you know what I mean? And it makes you insecure when you're a little girl. You're like, I don't want to be talking about that. I want you to look at that about me. Ever since I was a kid, everyone always assumed that I was older. I think that because we developed so early, a lot of Black women, a lot of Black girls, a lot of children develop so early, and because we are seen like that, there goes into the conversation of the adultification of little Black girls, how we are raised to grow up faster, to mature faster, to needing to know things off the bat. And a lot of it is because of safety. There's a responsibility onto us when we go out into the world, because we don't know what we're going outside into. We don't know who we're going to come across in our daily life, and we have to know how to be able to get back home. You know what I mean? I think it's a pressure that's placed onto us from childhood. So when I think about the topic of girlhood specifically, I feel as if a lot of Black girls, specifically growing up in like inner cities, in like lower, more impoverished areas, I think that a lot of us kind of lose our innocence or our sense of girlhood pretty early on, because of our parents or our families wanting us not to grow up too fast, not to be fast, like even like the like even like the things like, oh, like you can't wear red nail polish because that's being fast. You can't shave above the knee because that's being fast. You can't like for me, like you couldn't wear colored hair. You can't have long nails. You can't wear red lipstick. You can't do these different things because it's being fast. And it's like it's not being fast. It's exploring. It's being a girl. It's learning what you like. It's learning what you want to do. What kind of music? What kind of clothes do you want to wear? What kind of makeup do you want to wear? It's about exploration. It's about being curious. But I think when you're Black, that curiosity sometimes is shut down because of the predatory nature of men and the way men view Black little girls. So us as Black little girls, we have to be the one to suppress ourselves. You know what I mean? And so I think that there's a lot of aspects of girlhood in that specific area that I did not get to explore. I had to find my way to express myself, because the bodily things I wasn't really allowed to express myself through these ways, because of the fear that I think our parents and our grandparents and older Black women have to try to protect us. But I think that in trying to protect us, they hinder us, and it takes away that, like I said, takes away that exploration that we may want to have when it comes to, things like that, which is such a natural part of girlhood. So when we get into the phrase, specifically as why I made this video, I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl in itself explores the idea of incompetency for women, like I said, like, oh, I don't know how to work a car, because I really don't know how to work a car. I don't know how to work a car. So if I ever had a car and something happened to me, I don't know how to work it, because I never learned, and I'm just a girl. I want to learn how to do that. Even though I'm not going to have to one day. I really want to know how to do that. Or I gotta move. I remember moving out of college. I had to move because one summer I moved 3 times. I moved out of my college dorm my junior year. I moved into like a summer housing dorm. Then I had to move back into my college dorm because we couldn't stay in the same spot over the summer if you paid to live there over the summer or you had a job over the summer. So I literally was like, how the hell am I going to move? And I was like, I literally had no one to help me to move. It was just me. And sometimes, sometimes a man can be helpful. You know what I mean? Like I had no one to help me, and I was moving all my stuff and I was moving all my stuff and I was moving all my stuff. And a homegirl of mine, her friend was helping her move in. So I was like, oh my God. I asked him, I'm like, oh my God, can you please take, like, I had like a mini fridge. I was like, can you please take this mini fridge up them stairs into my room? I cannot do it. And he did it. And he picked that thing up. He said, huh. And he went up the stairs. I said, you know what? Sometimes men can be helpful. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like sometimes men can be helpful. Like I remember my best friend, he came up in this room, this bed that I'm sitting on. He came up in this room. He took apart my old bed frame. He put this new one together. You know, because sometimes you really do. Sometimes as a girl, I don't want to do it. Sometimes I want to be soft and I want to be feminine and I want to be prim and I want to be delicate and I want to be dainty and I want to live in my very feminine energy. And that means I don't want to lift a finger to do something. You know what I mean? And I think that there's a fine balance that needs to be had. This is a little bit of a tangent. I think because of what I was talking about earlier within like how this trend of I'm just a girl and small playful incompetency falls into this alt-right ideology of like how women or girls are supposed to act or supposed to be or kind of leading into this trap where I think of like I feel like there is needs to be a balance of like as a woman, for me, I love being smart. I love learning. I think that there's so many things that have been afforded to me because of the women of the past who have worked so hard for me as a woman to be here today, to do the things that I do, for me to be able to get an education, for me to live freely, for me to not need the partnership of a man to get a credit card or have a house. There's so many different things that the women in the past have done for me to be here today. And I understand that and I appreciate that. But I think that there's also, as a black women were never given the opportunity to be soft. When we think back to slavery, like I said, black women were never given the opportunity to be soft. We've been out here working in the fields from day one. Black women taking care of slave masters' babies and being wet mothers and being experimented on. And then after post slavery, needing to get a job in order to make ends meet, to be able to raise their families, to do all the different things because we were not allowed the ability to be soft. You know what I mean? We're not allowed the ability to just be a girl. You know what I mean? I think that that's a really important conversation that I feel like when we go to this phrase, and I might be being a little big brain about it, being thinking a little bit into it, but into this phrase, I'm just a girl. I think that a lot of black women were never allowed to just be girls. Like I think about my mom. My mom spent her entire life like raising me, raising my family, like, raising my cousins, she spent her entire life raising people, taking care of people, that I see like when I hear stories that she tells me about. I think that she never really had the real opportunity to just be a girl, to explore real girlhood. And that's why I now in my 20s, I am taking the time to explore girlhood. So I say all this to say that, I think that the reason why that phrase feels so different for me is because I'm not allowed to just kind of move in a place of incompetency. I am not allowed. I'm not just given. People don't just stop to help me. You know what I mean? People don't just like, I can't just be like, oh, I don't want to do it because I'm a girl. Someone's going to just come at my beck and call and help me. You know what I mean? Like I think about, um, when I do laundry, right? I go to a laundromat, because I don't have a laundry in my house. I wish I did. Um, but I go to the laundromat, right? And I don't drive. So I'll Uber to the laundromat and then I'll Uber home. So whenever I Uber to the laundromat, I'll have maybe like 2 bags, maybe sometimes 3 bags of clothes. And I will carry all my clothes all the way down my stairs in my apartment, lug them into a car, and then have to take them all out and lug them into the laundromat without. And I'll have majority of the time I have like a man a man Uber driver, and they'll just kind of look at me, don't talk to me, watch me struggle, but just go ahead and look at me. I get surprised when people actually help me. And I don't know if it's like a fit, like, and sometimes, sometimes I'm like, is it because I'm black? Is it because I'm dark skinned? Is it because I'm big? Is it because I am not what they consider pretty? Because, men don't believe in helping women, or they don't see women that they're not attracted to, but we could get into that different day. You know what I mean? But last week I went to the laundromat, and same process. I lug my clothes in, and then I hate when Uber drivers get out their car to sit there and watch me. You sit here. Sorry, sorry. I'm about to go off. What are you sitting here and watching me take my clothes out? If you're gonna stay here next to your trunk, help me take the clothes out the car, put it in the little basket, or take it inside the laundromat. Why are you staying here watching me take the clothes out the basket? You could just stay in your car for that. But anywho, so I took the clothes out the car. I put it in a little basket to take it to the laundromat, and there was a man who was inside the laundromat, and he was like, "Hey, do you need any help?" And I'm like, "No, I'm okay, I got it." He was like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "You know what? Since you're offering, yeah, go ahead, take this basket." You know what I mean? And he said, "Yeah, I have to ask because like black women sometimes they're like, oh, I'm strong. I don't need help. I don't need your help." And I'm like, I've been strong my entire life. I don't want to be strong no more. I don't want to act strong no more. And he's like taking my clothes inside. He's like, "Oh, you don't want to be strong no more. Don't give up now." And I said, "I didn't say I was giving up. I said, I don't want to be strong. Meaning I don't want to have to feel as if I need to do everything by myself. And if you're willing to offer me help, I'm going to take it." And that's what I meant by that. I'm pretty sure there'll be like a guy who's like, "Oh, but women want to be, but y'all said y'all wanted to do this, y'all wanted to do this." Of course. I think there's a balance that does exist. But then back to what I said about black women not being able to just be soft. I think that's why just being a girl, the phrase, I'm just a girl, sometimes kind of bothers me. And I think that that's like this is a conversation I just never really get to see. I never seen women talk about the phrase "I'm just a girl" and how it connects to black femininity. I just ever hear it about in a very general broad sense of femininity. You know what I mean? But I don't take that. But like sometimes I am just a girl, and I think that I didn't really learn what that means, or I didn't really get to experience a real girlhood, or like I didn't really get to experience real girlhood until I got to college. And the reason why I say that is because I was now in a new environment where I was surrounded by people that allowed me to flourish and to grow and be myself. You know what I mean? Also, now I'm an adult, so now I'm able to explore these aspects of femininity I never really got to experience before. I got to experiment more with like my hair. I got to experiment more with my clothes. I got to experiment more with like makeup styles. I was surrounded by other women who are also doing the same exact thing. I found my group of women. I found my community of people, who allowed me to be soft, to allow me to be vulnerable, who taught me that it's okay to not live in this very masculine energy that I feel like I had to live in order to just survive my everyday life growing up. I was in a completely different environment. I was able to move into this very feminine like energy that like I knew that I had, but I feel like I was never really allowed to exist in. You know what I mean? And I was able to finally like I felt comfortable to finally ask for help. I felt comfortable to finally ask and be awarded, that there's always gonna be a struggle, specifically like being like, and that's outside the struggles of being like a black woman at a PWI, or being a black woman, like the only black woman in an entire program. You know what I mean? Which I could talk about on a completely different day. But just being able to explore my girlhood in my 20s on my own terms, I think that I don't know about other black women and what their experience with that is, but I think that's my experience, and I wanted to share it because I think that it's important to talk about. Like I have a friend and I love her dearly. Like that's my homegirl, and I always think about her as like peak femininity. Like she is my, like she's like, when I think about a girl, I'm like, she's such a girl. You know what I mean? But in the most beautiful, like non-stereotypical way of like she's strong and she's independent. She works so hard, but she's also like she loves makeup. She loves doing her hair, and she loves like buying clothes, and she loves doing this, and she loves talking about her like her boyfriend and this and the third. And I just and whenever I'm with her, I'm like, whenever I'm with her, I'm just like, oh, girl, I love being a girl with you. Like, she just makes, like, we take cute photos and she's like, oh my God, girl, we make sure we do this, make sure we do that. And I'm like, she slows me down and she makes sure that, you know, we're being girls. We're allowing ourselves to just be, you know, and I think that's another reason why I want to make this video on that phrase of just being a girl, just being. And I think that as a black woman who growing up wasn't allowed to be, or even sometimes in life just allowed to be and shine and thrive, and just in my presence, I think that it's important for us to acknowledge that a lot of black women don't have that opportunity, but then also kind of shift and also change the idea trajectory, because now I'm like, well, yeah, I sure can. You know what I mean? Hell yeah, I'm just a girl. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do my hair. I'm gonna do my makeup. I'm not gonna move that bed. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna get somebody else to do it. You know, I'm just a girl and I don't want to. I feel like we live in a society that doesn't allow nuance, or doesn't allow like a little bit of a middle ground when it comes to things like this. And I think that there's space for it. I think that we should be allowed to, you know, explore it. I love being a girl. I love being a girl. I'll never not want to be a girl, and I love being black, and I love being a black woman, and I love being a black girl, and I love working with black girls. And I think that every black girl that I come across, I want them to know how beautiful and how soft that they're allowed to be, because we all just really are girls. Well, those are my thoughts for the day. I hope that makes sense to whoever's watching. And I hope that you can relate if you are a girl, or if you're a guy, if you're a guy and you're like, oh, that makes sense. You know, if I ever have a guy watching my videos. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna keep making videos like this because I really enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy. Let me know your comments and opinions down below, and yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you later. See you later. Bye.